Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Gilda Evans, bringing you the Autism Resource Podcast. This podcast and the ARP website are your one-stop knowledge and resource base for autism and much more. I'm very happy to have Drew Ann Long join me as my guest today. Drew is the inventor of Caroline's Cart, a game-changing, patented, special needs shopping cart designed to provide an inclusive and accessible shopping experience for individuals with special needs. Inspired by her daughter Caroline, who has special needs and could not use a traditional cart, Drew Ann took matters into her own hands, sketching her first idea on a napkin and eventually bringing the patented design to life. Today, Caroline's Cart is in retailers across all 50 states and 8 countries, used by families, caregivers, senior adults, and stores committed to inclusion, accessibility, and dignity. Welcome, Drew, and thanks so much for taking time to join me today and discuss the work that you do.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate platforms like this that allow me to continue my advocacy work.
So, speaking of that work, to begin with, tell me a bit about how you were inspired to create Caroline's Cart.
Okay, sure. Caroline's Cart was born out of a need for my daughter, Caroline. When she was around 8, 9 years old, she outgrew shopping carts, all the fun carts, the fire trucks. She doesn't walk, never has. So when I had no way to shop with her anymore, I asked my store manager. I really thought that there was a special needs shopping cart out there. And I said, would you just find it and order it for me? You see me in here often. And I don't think there is one. So he did a little research and circled back with me about a week later, only to find that there was no other option. There was no special needs shopping cart. So literally, that was the birth of my idea. My head started spinning at that point, and that's when it all started.
So then what happened? How did that journey begin? Where did it take you? What were some of the obstacles you faced in making this happen?
Oh, everything was an obstacle. Let me just say that. I have a degree in business. I've always worked in accounting, but this was completely out of my wheelhouse. I knew what I needed. I drew it on a napkin at first. And I was like, okay, so this is not rocket science. And it wasn't electrical. It wasn't one of those scooters or anything that you drive. This was very simple design. Yet it seemed millions of miles away from me because I just didn't know how to do it. Everything was an obstacle. I had to figure it out. You're going to hear me say that a lot because I don't know what else to say. I had to figure it out. I had to try and fail and figure out, how do I get this off of a napkin into a physical prototype? That took about a year because I had to call around and find companies. Who's going to make me a shopping cart? And finally got one a year and a half. Yeah, every single bit of it. And a lot of people say, gosh, it took you a long time to bring this to market. And let me be clear that I was a mom first. I had 3 little kids, one severely disabled. My husband traveled for a living. I didn't have the luxury of working on this 8 to 5 in an office. I did this in my spare time, what little spare time I had. And that was when the kids usually were in bed. And just any accomplishment was long in coming because of the time I had to put into it. But over time, over a couple years, I took my idea to corporate America. There are 4 shopping cart manufacturers in the United States. And I just took my simple drawing to all of them. I just said, here, do this. And they all shot me down. No one was interested. So when you don't have the support of the shopping cart manufacturers, you talk about being left out on an island on your own. So that made it just that much harder. But I was so committed to this because I lived it every day. And I am a member of the world's largest minority group because of my daughter. And I knew that we were in every community and we all needed this option to shop.
So describe the cart to me a little bit, that image that you drew on the napkin. What's the difference between your cart and a regular shopping cart?
Sure. I wish I had a photo of it right here. I really just took out, you know what a traditional cart looks like? You put the baby in, just removed that and a seat that holds up to 250 pounds. So it is for when you outgrow everything that's there, this is the next option for those that cannot drive scooters. A very simple design. It has all the safety. It has a 5-point harness, has 2 sets of brakes on it for loading and unloading. So that was very important. The design had to be safe, had to be functional, easy to use, still have enough room for all of your products, still have the bottom rack to put your big items on. So again, yes, very simple, very practical, and very needed.
All right. So did retailers embrace this idea immediately?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Yeah. So what did that look like and how did you convince those first ones who did come on board?
They just had to take a chance, just like I took a chance. After I found a manufacturer that was not one of the top 4, I really thought that I would show this to retailers and they would just be like, oh, we want it. And that was absolutely not the case. I reached out to all the popular ones you all know, and no one would buy it from me. First and foremost, because I was not one of the main manufacturers. So I had to go the non-traditional route. I had to reach out to the smaller mom and pop stores. We probably all have them in our communities, family owned businesses. And that's who I reached out to, and that's who took a chance on me. So I'm forever grateful for those smaller chains that believed in my mission and wanted to support me in those early years.
And once the smaller retailers came on board, did the big retailers look at that and
Yes,
go,
we had to build the demand for this product. When something's never been done before, you have to prove it. Building the demand, proving to corporate America that this needed to be. Again, starting off so small in these smaller chains, using the power of social media to prove, oh my goodness. And that's when it really took off, was using the social media. Someone in Alabama would post in a smaller store, and somebody in Michigan would be like, oh, I like that cart. What is that? I need that in my store. So it was critical to build the demand and prove the need. And probably a year or two after we got into the smaller stores, that's when the bigger stores started taking notice.
all right. And you mentioned people stepping in and posting and saying, hey, this is really wonderful. Gee, why don't I have that in my local store? Is that something that people, let's say our listeners, some people who might not yet have that in their local area, something that they might be able to do to help in this mission of inclusion? What can people who see the need and might not have it available to them do to bring it to their local area?
On our website, which is carolinescart.com, you can print a request form. So if you don't have it in your store, and you might not even need it, you might just say, hey, I don't need it, but I know there's somebody that does need it. If you print that form off of our website, carolinescart.com, you take it to the store manager and it has all the information the store manager would need to order.
All right, that's fantastic. Now, once you got the momentum going, I'm just curious, how long did this journey take from that first small retailer who said yes to the point where you're at now? Now you say it's across all 50 states in most of the major retailers and even in some other countries. Is that right?
Yes, yes. Yeah, it took a long time. I think we first hit the market in 2011 in the smaller chains. At the end of 2012, so about almost 2 years later, is when a shopping cart manufacturer took notice and they called me and they said that they were interested in it then. So then I switched to manufacturers. And that's when it really started to go up because they had the relationships in those bigger chains. They already were making their traditional carts. So probably from 2011, it's probably to about 2014 till we really started making some big headway. And then in 2017 was our first big break. And that's when Target put us in all of their stores across the nation.
That's terrific. And you said this will hold up to 250 pounds. So this is something that's intended not just for children, but
Adults.
for adults who are disabled and need this support and assistance when they're shopping with their loved one or
Right.
caregiver.
Or someone or a senior adult that has dementia that can't drive a scooter yet wants to go out and participate in shopping like they've done their whole life. Yes, it is not just for people that don't walk. In fact, I would say more people use it that do walk. They just don't walk well, or they need assistance, or they have mild CP, or they have autism and they're runners. So, yes, it is for anyone that needs assistance while shopping.
This sounds like an absolutely wonderful support device, Drew. And at this point, I want to ask, is there something that I haven't asked you that you'd like to add to the conversation? And what do you think is the most important takeaway for our listeners from this conversation?
I think a great takeaway is the special needs community is the world's largest minority group. We are often overlooked and underserved. So when I took this idea to corporate America, they were very quick to dismiss me. And I think it was because number one, they weren't listening. And number two, they didn't live in this world that I lived in. And it was so obvious to me that this cart needed to be and that it had a chance of being successful. But again, they were not willing to take the risk. So anybody that wants to do something, has an idea, has a business, whatever it is, I think you have to dig deep and you have to look inward of, do I have what it takes when everyone shuts me down? Do I believe in this enough to try to make a go of it yourself? So I want to encourage everyone that I'm glad I took the risks. It was a lot of risk, it was a lot of work. And it's very rewarding today to be traveling and see it and be out at Walmart and see somebody using it. And yeah, it just gives me a lot of encouragement and a lot of joy to see that it's helped so many.
Thank you so much, Drew, for your time and for sharing your remarkable and wonderful story with us today.
Thank you. Again, I appreciate platforms like this that allow me to continue my work.
If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast. You can find it on Apple iTunes, Amazon Music, Spotify, and other popular platforms. We'd appreciate you taking the time to leave us a review. You can also listen to the podcast on YouTube at ARP Social, where you'll find bonus content. And be sure to follow us on Facebook or Instagram to get up-to-date notifications about the latest news and episodes. If you would like more information on anything else we've covered on the Autism Resource Podcast, visit us online at autismresourceproject.org/podcast. Be sure to check out our growing website often, since we are continually adding useful information and resources. I want to thank our listeners for spending part of their day with us. This is the Autism Resource Podcast, and I'm Gilda Evans, reminding you to take care of yourself and that special person in your life.